Now, this morning we start our discussion this morning on Cape IT Unit 2 Objectives 1 on your syllabus, which requires you to differentiate between the terms of information management. Before we can differentiate the terms of information management, we have to first of all understand what is information management. Now, information management is a collection and a management of information from one or more information sources and the distribution of that information to one or more audience. It means that with information management, you are collecting information from different IT sources, whether the internet, television, newspaper, talking to people, interviewing people. You are collecting a lot of information. And what you try to do is to control that information and be able to distribute it to other persons and making sense of the information. So if you collect some facts out there, or you collect some opinions of a survey you did in a class, and you read things online about the topic so you can become more knowledgeable about it, then when you use your IT tools to analyze it and to present it, and then you disseminate it or distribute it to others or the audience, that is information management. The term information management sometimes involves person with a stake in it, or person who have a right to the information. So only those persons who are concerned with the information that you have collected really have a right to use it, and as such will benefit from the information that you have sent. Now, with information management, if the persons have a right to the information, there is of no benefit to them. So therefore, why would a teacher of sociology want to get IT notes from your A-level class? It is of no value to them. So any information you collect and you distribute or disseminate, you do it for the person to benefit from it directly. And that is information management. Management means that the organization of and the control over the information, processing and the delivery of the information. So you are managing or controlling how you set up the information, how you organize it. So you put it in paragraph and type it and present it and use your IT tools. That is the organization of information. Then it goes further to say that how you control over that information. And that is, how do you control information means how do you save it? How do you transfer it via email? How do you password protect it? How do you store it to your devices? It means having a control over the information. Now, when you take things off the internet and you plagiarize it and just put it bam in your work, then you have not managed information. You have only just collected it. But if you read it, summarize it, and put it in your own words, and then in the bibliography you said, the book was MIS by Lord in the 6th edition, written by so and so and so, 2000 so, and you write in your bibliography in APA format. And you went to the internet, you find articles on the internet, and you state the author of the article, the name of the article, the date produced, the date retrieved, the article's URL, all of that, and you present it in your paper, in the bibliography, what you have read, and then you use it inside the body of the information that you're presenting. So you might say that in the citation that you're doing, you might say that Lorden 2012 stated that information management so and so and so and so and so. This is called in-text citation, where the author name, the author's last name is used, followed by the year the article or the book was produced, and you state clearly what the person had said. You will know from your class in library skills about what is called citation. When you refer to what you read in your bibliography, what book did you read, who is the author, that is called an in-text citation. And if you're citing more than 40 words in a quotation, you have to actually indent. You have to actually indent it 1 inch from the margin. You indent the text 1 inch from the margin, both left and right margin, something called inset, where you bring in the text from both left and right margin at the paragraph and indent it, and it is indented from both margins, called inserted. And that is what you are doing in terms of recognizing the person who said what. and you're quoting exactly what the person was said. That is called a direct quotation. So once it's more than 40 words, you have to put it in quotation mark and indent it. So if you do that, stated that, and you put a colon right here, and you indent from the margin, both left and right margin of 1 inch, and it's put in quotation mark. And it's normally placed in 1.5 line spacing, while the rest of the paragraphs are placed in 2 double line spacing. But the insetting part is only placed in 1.5 inch line spacing, since you are quoting direct quotation. If you are paraphrasing, it's different. Paraphrase means just changing the words in a sentence, which is not good. You have to read the material, interpret it, and then you write. And that is called the organization and the control of information. Now, after you have done that and you have organized information, you have control over the structure of it, you know how you present it. The next step is how you process it. So you use your bold, your underline, your italics and those stuff. And when you use your PowerPoint presentation, your projector and your speakers, and you use videos from the internet in the presentation, what you're doing is a part of processing the information that you have. And then the next step now is what you can be now doing, which is to present or to deliver the information to the intended audience. Whether by making a presentation, an oral presentation, or whether by probably having a classroom discussion with your classmate, or maybe it could be an assignment you submit by email or you post to your teacher on some file sharing site. It could be a virtual video you make of your presentation you post to YouTube or something afterwards so you can use it. In short, information management entails organizing, retrieving, acquiring, and maintaining information. You want to get it, you want to acquire it, you want to then maintain it. That's really what information management is. Now, other definitions were taken from the internet, which says that information management is a procedure for collecting data, processing, presenting, and communicating information. And the web link is posted there for you. The provision of the relevant information to the right person at the right time in a usable form to facilitate situation understanding and decision making. It uses procedures and information system to collect, process, store, display, and disseminate information. And next one says the planning, budgeting, manipulating, controlling of information through its life cycle. So it's an information life cycle that is there. And another one says that it is the entire process of defining, evaluating, protecting, distributing data within an organization. So this one says that you're evaluating it. You get it, you look at it, you're now evaluating it. You're checking if it's accurate. Is it complete? Is it up to date? Is it relevant? Is it useful? Is it current? Those are characteristics of information. So you might want to look up on what are the characteristics of information, please, as part of understanding what it means about evaluating information. And then there is the art of protecting information. So saving your work on your thumb drive, having a backup copy in your email, like you do in the IA. Thumb drive can become damaged, so you have a backup copy in the email at all times. How do you distribute your SBA? Via email. So anywhere you are in the world, you can access it. And we're talking about distributing information in the organization. Now, if you look at the diagram given to you on that slide, it's slide number 4, the diagram of the information management cycle, that there is a cycle to information management. And that is, we start off with the first thing in information management, to plan for information management. You must plan. Planning here means you try to determine what information do you want. How much information do you want? You're trying to find out what depth of information do you want? What breadth? How wide should it cover the subject matter? You consider the cost of carrying out information management. You consider the procedures you have to follow. You consider the people. Yes? In a sense. So what you're trying to do is to plan for information management. How do you get it? How do you store it? The cost, the retrieval. Do you have the tools to get the information that you need? You are planning. You look at the risk involved in collecting information. If a teacher in sociology class asks you to do an ethnographic study by going down in the Tivoli garden and speak to the area leader and ask them where they keep the guns and keep the cocaine and the drugs down there, that information they can't get because you're going to endanger your life as getting it. So you have to take into consideration, if you are doing something which will endanger your life, then you are not able to plan to get that information. You might have to try a different way. So you plan for it. You plan for information management. And then, having planned for information management, the next thing you do is in step 2. You look at your data collection sources. Unit 1 IT, Module 3. You look at your information sources. Where am I getting information from? What textbooks? What else? The journals they can use. Magazine, periodicals, newspaper, textbook, electronic databases, DVDs, people, encyclopedia. Those are your data collection sources. Where are you getting information from? And always remember, which you learn in your class at communication studies, that there are 2 types of information sources. There are what? There are 2 types of information sources. P and S. You have primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources mean you directly collect the information. So doing a survey, an interview with someone, to go and observe it yourself, observation, those are primary sources. Secondary sources when you have interpreted someone else's material. So textbooks are secondary sources. Journals are primary sources because the journals are written in a personal format. So it could be a journal on the study of digital forensic science where somebody wrote a research paper on it, but it is written based on the personal experiences. It therefore forms as a primary source and not a secondary source because it is written by the author, which is writing it in the first person position, whereas somebody who writes textbook is writing in the second person. They're writing for your benefit and not necessarily for their benefit. So we look at the information sources, and we say that we look at all the sources. If you are doing a presentation in sociology on something, they might find a video on the internet and use. But if you interview somebody for your IA, then the evidence of that interview should be stored. Because the teacher can ask you to present that video to them, to demonstrate that you actually carried out an interview as one of your fact-finding technique. Now, after you look at your data collection sources, you go on to look at your data collection methods. And the method speaks to what technique will be used to collect information or data, I should say. What technique is being used to collect the data that you need. So the methods will be like your interviews, a method. Observation, a method. Question is a method. What is the technique you actually use now to go and get the information? The methods, the technique you will use to go and get what you need to carry out your information management. So if I ask you to look at a traffic survey of vehicles on Mona Road, and I want to know the number of cars, truck, buses, bicycle, bike that use the roadway, and you go up there, so you start count. One car, one car, one car, one bus, one bike, one bus, one car, one truck, one bus, one car, one. And you tabulate it. That's you're doing an observation. If you're going to do a study to observe children's behavior and detention, you have to observe it. You have to see it for yourself. But if you're doing a paper on the impact that religion has on the development of sociology, then you have to read textbooks to get that information. You may have to go to somebody who is a pastor or somebody from a religious background who can give that kind of explanation of how religion would affect sociology concept and study, how it shaped the study of sociology. Look at the methods. The trials now, data collection trials, speaks to what are the procedures you use to eliminate errors in the data that you collect. What are the procedures you use to remove errors from the data that you collect? I'm sure when you get rice, yes? And the rice is in the throw the rice in the bucket. You pick out the bad rice then. That's a trial. You're picking out the bad rice. You eliminate what you don't want. And data collection trials will include things like cross-referencing. You read it in one book and you see that there are 14 parishes in Jamaica and the next book says 10. Something not sound right. So you check 2 more textbooks and the other 2 you check say there are 14 parishes in Jamaica. So then therefore in your paper you say that there are 14 parishes in Jamaica. You throw out the one that says 10 because it does not correlate or correspond to the other 3 information sources that you got. So data collection trials is how do you try to remove errors from the data. The trials also sometimes mean how do you test the data for accuracy. How do you test it for accuracy? So how do you test data for accuracy? So you could do a trial and error like in a science class. Observation. So if you're supposed to collect something in a beaker or collect some gas or something, you might test it to see if you're collecting the right amount of gas or the right quantity or is it in the right concentration. Data collection, it could be a trial and error method to see if you get it. When you mix in lemonade, you try and taste at some point to see if it tastes like lemonade. Trial and error. How else do you carry out data collection trials? Amari said you could introduce a prototype, make a small mock version of the thing that you're going to use, and then see if it works. And if it works, then do the big thing. So your IA, when you start out your IA, it starts out as a prototype, a very small project. We get the ideas in place. And say, Miss, sir, here is my IA, so and so and so. I'm going to do so and so and so. And you talk about it. And I say, no, no, no. Do so and so and then do that. Take out this, put in that. That is data collection trial. Because you start out with a prototype and then you build upon that to get the final, the bigger thing. How else do you carry data collection trials? Cross-referencing other sources. You may carry out additional investigation. Because if you're doing a scientific research and you know say you're supposed to get a certain result by 1 hour time, and when you say 1 hour and 2 minutes fast and you can't get the result yet, then something may be wrong with the experiment. Maybe, but the other person beside you got the results at 1 hour, and your own can come by 5 minutes past 1, 10 minutes past 1. And when you get to 1 hour and 45 minutes when you see your result, and everybody gets to them on about 58 minutes, 1 hour and 2 minutes within the stated time. There's something wrong with your experiment. See, look back at your procedures. Maybe your Bunsen burner wasn't turned on properly. Maybe the flame was not ignited properly. It's not burning fully. Maybe the beaker user was not clean. So therefore it contaminates the substance in the beaker, which affects the result because of some chemical residue in it before, which now contaminates the experiment you're carrying out now. Or maybe you added too much solution to the thing. Too much of the powder was added to the thing. Sodium chloride. Or too much potassium nitrate was added to the thing, which caused you to get a delayed reaction in your experiment. But because everybody did use 1 ounce off, or half teaspoon off, or a half a gram off the solution, they're all work, but you use more than half gram. You use 0.8 gram instead. You didn't measure it. Then your result would therefore be flawed. After you've done your data collection trials, you look at your monitoring of data collection. They monitor it. Which means what? Check if you are doing the correct thing. Check if you are collecting data properly. Did you Google the thing properly? Did you use search operand to narrow down your search? So if you're looking up on religious education, you might type in Google religious education plus sociology plus Caribbean minus Haiti and Latin America. Because if you get everything, and everything talking about voodooism and how it affects sociology, development and everything, but not all Caribbean countries are involved in voodoo. Because voodooism is only practiced really in Haiti. Jamaica have it, but Jamaica have it to a small percentage. So we could not use it in our study. Because we're talking about something else, but what we're trying to do is to narrow down the search. We're talking about RE, how it relates to sociology in the Caribbean. But you want to minus Haiti and Latin America. Because Haiti is sometimes confused to be a member of the Caribbean. Because they are washed by the Caribbean Sea. Haiti is not a part of the Caribbean. They are a non-member state of CARICOM. They're not in a part of CARICOM really. They were actually back to CARICOM and the non-members of CARICOM. So is Bahamas. Latin America is not a part of CARICOM. But because again they are washed by the Caribbean Sea, and because of the agreement of Chaguaramas in 1976, I think the Chaguaramas Treaty was signed by Michael Manley, Basde Pandey from Trinidad, or the one from Barbados, Prime Minister from Barbados, Owen Arthur, the one who signed the treaty in 1970 something. Grantley Adams in Barbados. These Caribbean leaders signed the Chaguaramas Treaty that formed the formal relationship of CARICOM, Caribbean Common Market, which means that all Caribbean countries are the same. If Jamaica is selling banana at $2 a bunch, then Grenada can sell Philemon at $1.50 a bunch US. Cheaper, because we're all buying the banana at the same price. So if Europe want banana to buy from the Caribbean, they can buy it at one price from Jamaica and buy it at the next price from a next Caribbean country. Because in the Chaguaramas Treaty of Trade, you must trade at the same price. So if Jamaica start to produce banana more expensive, then the entire region price of banana have to go up. Because Jamaica is the largest producer of the commodity. So we can dictate the price in the market. But Trinidad has gases, natural gas is selling. We can't tell them how to sell their gas, because their gas price is our gypsum and those things are set by world market prices. Guyana supplies rice. We can't tell Guyana what price to sell rice at, because we don't produce enough rice to sell to anybody. Jamaica grows a little bit of rice, but we don't grow enough rice to sell the region. So therefore, our discussion in the rice business, we can't use our discussion in the rice business to dictate in the market. So all of this come under Caribbean integration. So you would see that with the information management, you have to start collect information. And now you're looking at what money the data collecting. Because by discussing the points, by talking about the material, by checking different sources, by interviewing people, by going to the textbook, by going to the internet, and by going to catalogs, and going to read the autobiographies of Grantley Adams and Michael Manley, and read the actual Chaguaramas Treaty, you would be able to monitor the data collection process of what data that you are collecting now, because you are trying to monitor data collection. Because if you collect dirty data, you're going to get dirty results. You have to clean the data. By this point, you are taking out things you don't need. You're monitoring. And you know when you're doing research, you try to narrow down your research to the exact thing you want. You narrow down your search. Because what you want to do is to get exactly what information you want to collect and use in your paper. And don't give any irrelevant information that has no bearing on your paper. So tell me about voodooism in Haiti can affect Caribbean sociology in Cape. It might influence Caribbean sociology because of migration of people from Haiti into other Caribbean territories. Then say that. But you could not use the experiences in Haiti to dictate Caribbean religion in sociology in a Cape Caribbean exam. Because voodooism, though practiced in Jamaica because of the African heritage we have, and maybe to a lesser extent in one or two Caribbean islands, voodooism is practiced widely in Haiti compared to Jamaica. Jamaica does have voodooism, but it is so minute. We don't have witch doctor. No, we're not talking about Obia. Voodoo and Obia is not the same thing. What about witch doctor, voodoo master? These are normally people who have high kind of sorcery, you call it them. And we mix one call voodoo and Obia man the same thing. Voodoo and Obia is not the same thing. Because voodooism normally involves rituals that deal with death. Them cut the chicken and them something and them spray the blood and them something there and the goat and them something there and they sacrifice it and the people them put them in a trance and them inhale certain stuff. Voodooism is totally different. It's more satanic in nature. Whereas Obia is more of an African practice of protecting you from evil spirit. So they are different in nature. So you look at your data collection, how you monitor data collection, and then the next step is data preservation. What do you think the word data preservation means? Kadim? How you store your data. But not only how you store, but how you protect. Security procedures they learn in CXCIT. How you secure your data. Whether you can use password, encryption, cryptography, have backup copies of it, offsite storage, storing it somewhere else from the actual device or the actual environment. You encrypt it to encode the data. Cryptography is a higher form of encryption technique that is used when you're going to transmit data via fiber optic or satellite. You use your cryptography. So when the embassies are talking to each other, because of the delicate nature of the material, they have to use a higher encryption technique called cryptography. So cryptography is a higher form of encryption technique. Cryptography. Use a higher form of encryption technique. And you preserve the data. Some persons use archiving. If you go to the Gleaner company right now, you can find every single copy produced of the Gleaner up to 1850 something when the Gleaner started. And that's a whole heap of paper. But what they did over the years is they start putting all those Gleaners on what? How do they preserve it? How? The technology they use to preserve physical document. Output media. You learn it in doing output devices. M-word. Microfilming. Computer output on microfilm and microfiche. Remember a thing called Viewmaster? You told you don't know about Viewmaster. You used to look through it and put it aside and see the different pictures them. Has a wheel. And you have some small photographs on it. When you go to the Gleaner company or when you go to the US in their libraries, you can look in the microfilm reader and you can search the paper in front of you on the film. The film is that negative you get back when you get photograph from the studio. So when they go and give them a ream of film at the photo studio and they develop them, they give out negatives and it has holes to the side of it. So the Gleaner company photographically reduce every page of the Gleaner and store them on microfilm plastic. And they can be accessed in the future because they can reprint them at any time that they want. Just like that. Computer output and microfilm. You might want to go read up on computer output and microfilm and the use of microfiche as a part of preservation of information. But recently the Gleaner is now online. Gleaner online. You can actually get the Gleaner, the physical Gleaner on your phone as messages. Or you can actually go to the Gleaner company website and read the Gleaner online as if it was a printed paper in your hand. They have the Gleaner online. So if you buy a Gleaner today and go online to the same Gleaner in your hand. There's actually one of them which is called digital newspaper. So it looks exactly the same way. Page by page you can flip on the screen and read the newspaper. Just like that. One of your field trips in 2 weeks' time is to go to the Gleaner company to look at information management. The class assistants, you have to write the letter. to the Gleaner Company to request a formal field trip for your class as you are studying information management, telling them what the topic you are doing, what you want to find out, how do they do all of these things, collect data, use methods, trials, monitoring, how do they preserve information. That will be our field trip. The class monitors, assistant teachers, please do that. The letter must go out by this week so you can get 2 weeks notice to them. And then after there's data preservation, you have protected it, you're keeping it, you're preserving it. The next thing is to use it. Use it. Use it to carry out the task you want. So you're doing your presentation right now for Com Studies class or Caribbean Studies. You're now using the information because you have gone through all of these steps already. And the last part of information management is disseminating it, meaning passing it out to the persons who you intend to get it. They sell the Gleaner on the road. The bike man drop it off at some people's offices at home. The Gleaner is made available online. You can subscribe to the Gleaner online. The Gleaner is then put on a plane, the first plane in the morning going to the States. And people in the States can buy the Gleaner at the airport, at the JFK airport or the airport in Florida, Hollywood International. If you come to our airport, you will see the Wall Street Journal being sold in our airports here. Because the first flight leaving the States, bring the paper in and drop it off at when you come off the plane, it's dropped off or collected and then put into the store to sell right away. How do they disseminate it? So all of that is information management. How do we control the management of information going through the information management cycle?